I want to ask you a question, and that question was, how easy is it to hate? And the purpose of it is a quick exercise that was done on the folks who I care about is to show something, okay? People are willing to hate people to crazy degrees. And I know that's, when you see a list of folks who you care about, who you love, who are supposedly on your side, you don't want anybody saying anything about those people. In fact, you'll go to places that are continuously being shown to be repudiated as not being completely, factual, but as long as it aligns with your narrative, it's okay. But then when I go onto your feeds and I just scroll through, usually I just scroll through people's stuff sometimes. I don't even comment. But I'll see how much hate folks have for especially one individual who's sitting up, at the leadership of our nation. Now, the hardest thing for me to reconcile is that I understand what hate actually does to people because I've seen it before. But I also know too that when you justify it for one and you negate it for others because they're supposedly on your side, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right at all. In fact, what it does to you is it destroys you. It doesn't make you more virtuous, doesn't make you more, greater or nicer or a better individual. It kills you. It kills relationships, it kills the heart. It can make you a pretty callous person. In fact, it can make you also irrational as well too. And this is the point I'm trying to make, okay? If it's okay to do to one person, you can do it to a bunch of others. And I've seen people do it all over the place. And it's easy to say, okay, well, those people are doing it, those people are doing it, so I can do it as well too. But if you do it, you're participating in it. And then there is no middle. There's no way for you to even come to a middle because you've emotionally bought into the idea that somebody else is lesser than you. Even if the other person is like, they deserve it. Okay, supposedly other people deserve it. I don't know about that. And again, like I've had, situations where I've dealt directly with, folks who are white supremacists and skinheads and stuff like that. And I still didn't hate the people. I mean, they might have hated me. I really don't care. But that's just not what's in me. Now, the other part of this is I want to introduce you to an idea here that it's real easy to make claims, especially on social media, that maybe are not completely true. In fact, one of the things that you might see right now is that new body cam footage coming about George Floyd. Now, it's just added information, it's more information, and the more information that you have about stuff, the better you're able to make a judgment. And believe me, I'm being real with you guys, okay? I've been on several different jury cases and had to sit in juries on a couple different cases that were pretty freaking rough. And the one that was most impactful for me was I went into a case sitting in the box, and they're going through, hella people to pick for the jury, and they got to me. And I basically, I find out that this case is about somebody who's molested a kid, a little girl. It's a grown black dude, okay? And he's molested his daughter. Well, I ended up giving the gospel to the judge, just Valentine. I remember that. It was crazy. And they let me do it. They let me talk. And I basically said, this man's going to stand trial over this issue. And if he's found guilty, he's found guilty. But if he's found innocent, he's found innocent. But in reality, he's got to repent, because that man could still end up in heaven if he repents of his soul and he repents of his sin. If not, he's going to stand in judgment here, and he'll stand in judgment there as well too. And that's what Christ has done. He's given us the ability to be right before God, but we still have to pay for our consequences here, no matter what. And now these people who are in this jury pool, they found out that I was a pastor, and I basically became the foreperson. So I had to basically, kind of regulate and go through this whole process with all these people. And then we found the guy guilty. Turned out the whole reason why he was trying to do this case was he wanted to leave it up to 12 people to decide if he was guilty, even though it had already been proven he was guilty. And the DA had to figure out another charges for some other reason. This is a little weird, but we found him guilty anyway. The point is this: you need to have all the information. You didn't know what people are really doing, what they're really done. And that's why some of the folks who, and this is a thing that you have to understand about searching out real information and getting to the bottom of stories. You're not getting the full stories. You're going to CBS, NBC, ABC, you're not getting the full story. You're going to fact checkers, they're not fact checking. They're really not. What they're doing is they're keeping a narrative. And even for some of the folks on the other side, okay, understand, even when you're getting the names and stuff and that like that from Q, you need to still do the research. And that's actually what I think is interesting about that whole thing. They're actually asking you to do the research, not really giving you the story, just tell you to go and research the names. So there's the deal, okay? Do your own research and find out what actually is going on, because the folks that are relying on mainstream media, they're setting themselves up for a big failure, especially if the story that they've been told is not true. Imagine that, okay? Being lied to for 3 years, maybe even more than that, on an issue that was all about something else and diverted attention for something else, and it actually being really about kids. I am more inclined to believe that there's a lot more going on with kids than anything else, and everything else is being a distraction. So this is why I wanted to make this video for you today. It's just to speak common sense. If you're not willing to give people another chance, or not willing to give people even ability to speak into a situation, and you just jump onto a side because it aligns with your ideology, well then you eliminate yourself from even having sense about the subject. This is being real, okay? And I want to give people the benefit about the doubt of stuff, and I've been called all kinds of things by black people, white people, Mexicans, Asians, whatever, about me not being mad at the president and me not think he's a racist. Now, I've been called all kinds of stuff, whether privately or publicly, and there's some pretty freaking ridiculous names of people that I don't respect. I literally don't respect at all. Okay, I don't respect at all. I allow them to look onto my page. I don't respect them at all. There's other people who I have friends who they still communicate with me, who I love dearly, but we have definite differences politically. But there's an issue here, is that if the hate takes root in the seed inside of the heart, that hate will block all sensibility. It'll make you a very irrational person. And I don't want that for anybody, because there's irrational people on all sides of this whole freaking coin. And nobody wants to take a stance in the middle. And I want to be able to, at least give you the ability and process to stand in the middle as well too. At least search for the middle, to find out the truth about these subjects, because these subjects are serious. And of course the whole thing will be freaking over on November 4th. We all know that. But why is it got to be the election that's going to make things different? Because people are doing this stuff for political reasons. And they're doing this stuff because they know that it's power, it's a power play. But that's the deal. Are you willing to not hate? Are you willing to admit that you actually do have the hate in your heart? And can you actually admit that maybe that hate's not actually healthy for you, for your loved ones, for the way that you speak, the way that you act with people who disagree with you? There might be something there for you. I know there's something there for me, because I had to get through some of that stuff myself, and understand too that my heart can be extremely dark toward people. So I want to drop that on you, okay? Do you understand what the depth of hate can actually do to you? It doesn't do nothing to nobody else, it does something to you. Are you willing to take the stance and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing that? Or is it like no big deal for you? If it's no big deal, then you just need to ignore all the things I've said. But if it is a big deal and you realize what actually hate does and what hate is and where hate comes from, then yeah, you might have a different perspective. You might wrestle with it. This is called the cognitive dissonance. You see all those names in that list? The cognitive dissonance that was happening in people's minds and hearts was freaking blatant. But folks don't want to even understand what that term even means, because they don't want to be faced with the reality that maybe they've got hate in their heart, despite all the virtue signaling that they say. The virtue signaling basically exposes the hate. That's all it does, really. For people who are watching intently, understand what's actually being said and done, we know what virtue signaling actually is. We know that it's actually a prescribed hate inside the heart that's been given like a pass that's pretty insidious. So I hope that this experiment on you, hope it doesn't piss you off, but in reality, I hope it exposed something as well too. And maybe you can ask some questions of yourself. And remember this, okay? There's more people on that couch who are upset about what they see in the news, by folks who are protesting, burning things down. These people on the couch have a voice, and you are probably one of those people who has a voice, and you are desiring to be led somewhere, to be led away from the hate, to be led away from all of the discord and the deceit. You just want to know something that's plain and simple and concrete. I hope to provide that. Take care.